We call it people technology.
Right then, after 14 hard-fought games, it all boils down to this. It's Eliminator number 1, RCB taking on Kolkata Knight Riders, and it's effectively, as I said, do or die encounter in the true sense of the word. Because as I said, 14 games you play to reach the playoff, and then one bad over, one drop catch, and that just ends your IPL campaign that you have for the season. On the other hand, if you have a good game, it takes you a step closer to that IPL title. You're watching Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. And like yesterday, we have a full house in here. And what a stellar cast. I say that because we've got two former captains of the two teams that are participating. A former IPL winning captain in Gautam Gambhir from KKR, and a former captain of Royal Challengers Bangalore. In fact, he wore another hat of that being a coach in Dan Vettori. And also joining us, another domestic captain who captained Mumbai with distinction in Sanjay Manjrekar. He'll play the neutral card. He'll ensure that we maintain our objectivity during our discussion. But let me kick things off with you, Dan, because as I said, you're wearing two hats. So let's talk to you about KKR team. I know both teams are in red hot form, but would you have to agree that one team is a bit more red hot than the other, and that's the team that wouldn't be wearing red, and that's KKR. 5 wins in this leg of the IPL, highest by any team.
I think the 5 wins is the impressive thing, because they were out of the competition. You would have thought after the Indian League, bit of time off, they were to come back and perform from right from the start, and they did it without Russell for the last few games. Morgan hasn't performed to his standards, so they're a team that's very confident, and they've got the best out of that top order, and their spinners in particular on what could be a tricky Sharjah wicket have really provided an impetus for them. So they're a confident team, and a confident team coming into Eliminator, I think, is a team that has a lot of strength to them.
Okay, we're already getting the toss update. RCB have won the toss and have decided to bat first. That is in Sharjah. I'm just looking at the record here. No distinct advantage of toss in Sharjah. It's 5-3 in favor of the side chasing. So a slight advantage there if you're chasing. But Sanjay, to you, I think he's gone with a tried and tested formula that when it's a knockout game, it's best to bat first.
Yes, but I see too many advantages in T20 cricket, chasing and bowling first. Setting targets, batting first is not easy to do. Also, the fact that Virat Kohli becomes a much more, valuable player. If you're chasing 140 or 150, then Virat Kohli can pace his innings accordingly. Batting first, he's got to imagine a target that should be sufficient. So I'm a little surprised, because Virat loves to chase. But there have been occasions when he surprised us by, winning tosses and doing something different. But the last 2 occasions, when they lost to Delhi Capitals and Sunrisers Hyderabad, they were chasing as well. So I'm a little surprised that they've chosen to bat first.
Gautam, funny that I say that in a knockout game, one should definitely bat first, and that's conventional logic. But last night that the game we had, team chasing won. And the other thing that Sanjay mentions, the last game that RCB have won was while chasing, and Virat said that they wanted to have a win while chasing under their belt going into the playoff. Your thoughts on this decision that Virat's taken?
Oh, look, I would have preferred chasing as well. The reason is just the T20 format, and it's always difficult probably to set the total. And I've always been of opinion that it's when you've got something in front of you, it just gets easier for the team batting second, because you know what to chase. Imagine if you get 145 or 150, even 150 on this wicket, you would always be thinking that we could have got 160, 165. We were 10 or 15 runs short. But if you're chasing 150, you know that how to approach that inning as well. And again, for me, I think T20 format, yes, it just gives you a slight advantage when you're looking to chase.
Okay, we're also getting some team updates right now. Both teams are unchanged. Anyway, they weren't expected to be too many changes. Maybe Gautam, and they could have looked at someone else. But Dan, probably too late now to make any of those experiments, and it's best to go with someone that you've stuck with for the last few games, and that's why Gautam finds a place.
I think so. I think, and obviously both teams won their last games. They'll be feeling confident about the way they've been playing, and in particular KKR, as I talked about before, the impressive run that they've been on since the tournament has moved to the UAE. So, look, I think both teams have their star players that they rely on to try and win them games, and then the rest of the team is often complementary, and they don't expect huge things from them, but they expect them to stand up and perform their role. So it was going to be too hard an ask to mix and match that team. And as I said, the teams are winning coming in here, so why would you change too many things?
Even if they were going to be making any changes, Sanjay, you were going to look at someone like Chamira maybe coming in, because not getting wickets in the power play has been an issue. But what we're getting to hear now is that because they had to move out of the bubble, World T20 starts and Sri Lanka will be playing the qualifier, so they are not available anymore. Kyle Jamieson was another one you could have looked at, but happy with what Virat's done.
Absolutely. I think there was no need for any change. Gautam has played in the last 3 games, so he's had some match practice. He's the guy who takes the pace off, and these guys have been mighty effective on the kind of surfaces that we've had in the UAE. Out of the 3 games that he bowled in, he had one expensive spell. He's been very economical in the other 2. So absolutely no need for any changes. So right call by Virat Kohli.
The only thing that's surprising is that if you've had the Sri Lankan player leave the bubble, one would have thought probably the Bangladesh players also would have left the bubble. But that's not happened, because Shakib is in the playing 11, and there were talks maybe if he leaves the bubble to play the World T20, he'd be out. Andre Russell, plenty of talk about him making a comeback, whether he's going to be fit or not. Clearly, that's not an option that they have. But they wouldn't be missing him, Gautam, would they? Because we've seen Shakib do the job for them.
Yeah, and this looks a much more balanced side as well. When you've got 5 proper bowlers, you've got 3 quality spinners and 2 fast bowlers who can bowl quick, and then you've got Nitish Rana and Venkatesh Iyer probably as a 6th bowling option. Quite a lot of options, and plus Shakib batting at number 7, which gives you a lot of batting as well. And I spoke about this yesterday as well, that if Russell is fit and if he's bowling fit, then only he should be picked in the playing 11. Otherwise, Shakib will do a job for you, especially on this kind of a wicket, because it is it's very typical like how you get in India or in Bangladesh. It's a dry surface, low and dry surface, and Shakib knows how to bowl on these kind of wickets.
The reason I speak about Shakib and Russell, I beg your pardon, Sanjay, is the fact that I remember the last time around these 2 teams played, 92 is all that RCB could manage, and we all remember that Yorker that he bowled to AB de Villiers. So he was the wrecker-in-chief, and RCB would be happy that he's not fit making this 11.
But Gautam is spot on. If Andre Russell wasn't fit to bowl, Andre Russell, the batter, is not as to be. So I like this, and also the fact that Shakib is likely to bowl in the first 6 overs, and also that choice must have been made easier when you look at the batting lineup of RCB. There's only Padikkal, the left-hander, in the top 5 or 6. There are plenty of right-handers, one after the other. So Shakib will most likely bowl his 4 overs. Just bowled the 1 over in the last game on this kind of a pitch. Very good bowler. I think he'll play more as a bowling all-rounder.
Okay, let's take a look at now. This is going to be the contest. It's the Kolkata Knight Riders spinners that are going to be bowling to that really good batting order that RCB have, and especially their top order. We're just taking a look at a few numbers, and this is the best bowling averages for spinners in the UAE leg. No surprise there that Kolkata topped this list. Got an incredible average of 18 wickets is what the spinners have managed in the UAE leg. And one of the primary reasons, as we've been talking about, why they've been able to register those 5 wins, and the economy too. Fantastic. You take a look at that Bengaluru, yes, but see the difference in economy, 7.2 versus 5.6 there for the Kolkata spinners. Okay, let's talk about strategy now, and I'm going to talk about Virat Kohli. Dan, coming to you now. 250s to begin this leg of the IPL in the UAE, but last 4 innings have yielded just 59 runs for him. He'd have to come good if RCB want to make another step in this tournament.
I think so, and I think he understands what he's doing in the power play. He can be slightly aggressive. I think it's after, if he gets through that power play, but he tends to have stalled a little bit. And Virat Kohli at his best takes on the bowling attack, and they'll need him to because of that how he can play spin, and they'll need him to be aggressive against those 3 spinners through those middle stages to set up the back end of the innings. Because if he is able to be aggressive, then it sets up Maxwell, it sets up the Villiers and their ability to play at the back end. And even if he gets through, we know how destructive he can be at the death. I think his strike rate goes up exponentially when he gets those death stages. So an aggressive Virat after the power play, I think, is the key for RCB.
Gautam, talk to us about that approach that Dan talks about. We saw Virat really playing in that sort of a style where he was aggressive to begin with, then would drop, that strike rate would drop after the power play of sorts. But the last few games, if you take a look at that, he's not got that start that he would desire. What did you make of that approach while he was getting the runs and what he's doing now?
See, whatever is gone is gone. You can't get that back. But today, probably I would want him to bat till the 15th or the 16th over, because you've got Maxwell, you've got AB de Villiers, you've got Padikkal and K Bharat. These guys can be aggressors as well, because you want someone probably to bat till the 16th over in your top three, and that will be the only reason why you can get up to 150, 155, which is a very good total. Yes, I can imagine that he had to be an aggressor, especially when they were playing a Chinnaswamy or probably in Abu Dhabi as well, where probably the pass score was around 170, 180. But on a wicket like Sharjah, 150 is a pass score. So someone needs to bat. And look at the game, look at the previous game as well. KKR managed to get 170 only because Shubman Gill could bat deep in the innings as well, and he didn't bat at a very high strike rate. So probably Virat Kohli will have to do that job, because he can rotate after the 6 overs as well against three quality spinners. So it will be his job, and probably his job will be the key if RCB can set a good total and probably a winning total in this game.
Sanjay, what do you make of that? What Gautam says, he would like him to be a bit more circumspect to begin with, bat a little longer.
See, I think the greater story for me has been Virat Kohli's overall performance, and the state of mind that he has shown in the way he's batted. I've never seen him short of confidence as a player. He's always had great self-belief despite failures. When he got those 250s as well, we got a little bit of an insight as to how important those 50s suddenly had become to Virat Kohli. And he's a guy, he's one of the greats of this game. And for him to value the 50s so much in the way he proceeded cautiously to get those 250s showed to me that the lack of runs overall at the international level also, somewhere is playing its part. The power game is also not with him at the moment. You can sometimes lose it. Look at Hardik Pandya. He's lost control over that power game. So I look at Virat Kohli more as a guy searching for that self-confidence, that one inning that would propel him to be the Virat Kohli of the past, and whichever way he can get into that kind of a mold or frame of mind, so be it, because the team will benefit right now, and Indian cricket a little later in the T20 World Cup.
How do you see Bharat's coming into form play out on how Virat Kohli bats? Dan, I'll take that question to you. Before this, we knew that he wasn't really sure of the number three. Kept rotating. You had Dan Christian there, then got Bharat. He's played that inning last time around. Does that have an impact on Virat Kohli? Does it free him up then to play his natural game?
I'm not so sure. I think he'll be in his own head a little bit around his own performance. I think Sanjay's right that his emotion around those 50s shows you how desperate he is to do well and to score runs for RCB because of a perceived lack of form. So I don't think it matters who's at 3, 4, 5, and 6. They've rotated that round a little bit. I think it will come down to his own frame of thought, his own ability to understand what he needs to do, and I think also the Sharjah wicket. If it's better than it has been, then maybe he can be a little bit more free flowing. But his ability to read the wicket, understand a pass score, and play accordingly, I think will be the major contributors to him to score rather than the batting order that follows them.
Sanjay, the other talking point is going to be AB de Villiers. Where does he bat? They fried him at 6. They sent him up to 4. Both really haven't worked out. Where would you like to see him?
Well, they tried him at number 4, and clearly you could see that now he had time. But this is AB de Villiers, which is not the AB de Villiers that we've seen over the years. The genius batter that he's always been. So I guess they aren't going to be putting too much pressure on AB de Villiers to be the man to deliver. I think the expectation will be more from Maxwell, who has been unbelievably consistent with the kind of batting style that he has, and the strike rate. Bharat is a great development for RCB. Padikkal, if he gets going, will get you a big score. So those are the guys that will have to deliver. And Virat Kohli, if he finds his touch and his self-belief, suddenly RCB looks a good team. I think those days are gone where AB de Villiers are looking at, RCB are looking at AB de Villiers as the man to get them a big score batting first. But all this would have been much easier for RCB had they chosen to chase. So this is a really surprising choice by Virat Kohli.
Assuming they go in with Bharat at 3 and then Maxwell comes at 4 and AB de Villiers comes at 5, and this is the batting order, Gautam, you mentioned before that you'd like RCB to go with. If that was the case, how would you like KKR to approach this, and how would you see them use their spinners? We've seen Morgan do everything, pull a trick out of his bag. He used them right on top, he's got them in the middle overs sometimes. How do you see them going against RCB?
Look, obviously, when you've got three spinners, quality spinners, you can rotate them. And when you've got 12 overs of quality spin, and plus you've got Lockie Ferguson with that kind of a pace, you've got the luxury of 16 quality overs, and then you can rotate the way you want to. And you've got two attacking spinners as well, mind you. You've got Varun Chakravarti, who's a wicket-taking option, plus Sunil Narayan. So yes, when you've got such a strong bowling lineup, so it's a great luxury to have for any captain. Plus, obviously, I have to wait and watch whether they're going to start with a spinner from both ends, because Morgan can do some funny things as well, and probably uh, with the help of the video analyst as well. That is something which I do not believe in, and I will never believe in that, because you got to be an instinctive captain, and he's done some things. Sometimes he's not bowled Sunil Narayan or even the spinners till the in the first 6 overs. Sometimes he's bowled 6 overs of spin in the first 6 overs. So it's very difficult to predict which way he's going to go. But yes, he's got the luxury of top quality bowling lineup.
Gautam says, Sanjay, it's very difficult to predict. He is absolutely right. We've seen completely different strategies changing with as the matches have progressed. But what would you expect them to do today? One, we've seen that Virat Kohli tended to slow down, as Dan mentioned earlier as well, after the power play, and that was the time that spinners would come into play. I don't know whether it was because the power play got over, whether the spinners came in. The other advantage that they have is Maxwell has been destructive against the spinners. He's most likely to come after the power play, so it's best to use the spinners up front against Virat Kohli.
See, Morgan bowled, I think, 6 overs of spin out of the first 10 against Mumbai Indians in the league stage. He just wanted to take pace off. And I think against this team, and especially with Virat Kohli out there, you'll see spin in the first 6 overs. Maybe he'll risk Shakib Al Hasan against Devdutt Padikkal, because the advantage of getting Shakib to bowl to Virat is a lot. Virat has had issues in this particular IPL to take the spinners on, hit them into the stands and play the big shots. So that will be a little challenging if there is a heavy dose of spin offered to Virat Kohli to begin with. Padikkal is not a good player of spin. We saw that in Sri Lanka as well. So less spin in the first few overs, and the moment Maxwell is in, you'll see a lot of Lockie Ferguson against him, and I think that would be the tactic to go with. I've been very impressed with Morgan this season as captain.
Okay, that tactic to have a fast bowler come when Maxwell is batting, and Dan, we've seen that because he's been destructive against the spinners. As I said, he doesn't shy away from going after them. But therein lies an opportunity, you would say, because I'm going back to that Delhi game. Akshar Patel, I think, almost got him twice in that over if he wasn't dropped. So if he's going to be aggressive, you might as well go with spinners than have your fast bowlers. So there's a catch-22. What would you like KKR to do?
Well, they have 12 overs of spin, so it's not easy for it to I suppose to avoid a Maxwell. So they'll utilise their best matchup, and as both Gautam and Sanjay said, Morgan has used his bowlers pretty well throughout the tournament. So I think they'll have clear matchups. They'll understand what they want to do as soon as Maxwell comes in, and they'll be playing for him. But Ferguson will play a huge part in that. I think they'll save an over or two so he can be aggressive against Maxwell. But like I said, with 12 overs of spin, the spinners are inevitably going to have to bowl to the likes of a Maxwell, and whether it's Chakravarti, who they think is the best matchup, whoever they think that is, they'll be aggressive with that option.
Gautam, we are talking about the usual suspects. They've been doing good. That's Varun Chakravarti. Lockie Ferguson has been outstanding. So has Sunil Narayan been very good. But I'm going to talk about this young fast bowler in Shivam Mavi. We've seen him as the games have progressed. He's gained confidence, has started picking up wickets. He spoke about how it was helping for him to be bowling alongside Lockie Ferguson. That's all seems to be coming good now for him.
Oh, it's been very impressive, no doubt about it. And probably he's completed the bowling lineup. We will never talk so much about him because the kind of bowlers there are in KKR, but he was fabulous in the last game as well. He's bowled well with the new ball. He's bowled well in the death overs as well. And when you've got this kind of a bowling lineup, opposition will look to target you. And despite of that, bowling some quality 4 overs just makes this bowling lineup looks even more better. And that is the reason why probably we need to give a lot of credit to Shivam Mavi as well, because he will always be under a lot of pump whoever KKR plays against when you pick this kind of a bowling lineup. So, and that is what happens when you play, when you've got this kind of bowling lineup against this kind of a batting lineup. I'm sure they will still look to target Shivam Mavi, and till now he's done a fabulous job for KKR.
Sanjay, just tell us, when this season started or this second leg started, we were all gung-ho about the KKR fast bowling attack because Prasidh Krishna was doing rather well. Russell was doing very well. Suddenly these two go out, Lockie Ferguson gets injured. That's the time Shivan Mavi gets that chance, and boy, has he come good at the right time for them.
Yes, and I think Mavi has to thank Jadeja for it because Jadeja launched into Prasidh Krishna in that close game that KKR had against CSK. And after that, they felt that Prasidh Krishna has this tendency to go for one big over every second or third match, and they couldn't risk it. Hats off to Mavi. He's a young bowler, not easy for a speedster. In T20 cricket, I mean, speed can sometimes be a handicap, and you've got to be really good at using your speed. And what I found with both Lockie and Mavi when they're playing for KKR, maybe the captain, the coach has had a role to play in that, is the direction in which they send their ball. They're always looking to hit the pitch and into the stumps. We saw Avesh Khan, we saw Nokia Rabada under pressure, straying with their lines a little bit. These guys keep it simple. They bowl quickly into the stumps, a lot of length balls, and not too much, flirtations with angled deliveries or too many slow balls and stuff.
We keep talking about the spinners, Dan, but it was the fast bowlers that have been doing the job in Sharjah. Any particular reason for that? And even the ones that have got the slower ball or the ones that can bowl really quickly?
Well, I think fast bowlers like the surfaces that spinners like as well in terms of that ability to hit a length and it doesn't come on. And Sharjah's showed that a little bit so far in this tournament. And so it's hard to hit through the line. And therefore, if you do hit that right length consistently, if you take pace off, then it is difficult for batsmen to line up fast bowlers. So I think we've seen those fast bowlers thrive in those conditions about hitting the right length, using their slower balls of variation, and overall the wicket is assisting them. And you never would have said about Sharjah in the past. It's been renowned for it as a batting surface, but this time around with a relayed surface, it feels like there's enough assistance there for the fast bowlers who are good enough and hit those areas consistently enough to make it difficult for batsmen.
A long time ago, when Sanjay Manjrekar was playing there in Sharjah, I believe you could see your face. That's how shiny the pitch used to be. Am I correct?
Yeah, and even in the IPL, I mean, we've had some flat pitches. Samson loved playing on these, but I don't know what's happened this time round. The pitch was so dead that somebody like a Curtly Ambrose that I played against, and he bowled a ball up to me, and I lofted him over his head. It went two bounces over the boundary rope, Dan, and not into the stand. Just two bounces over the boundary rope, and I thought the next one is going to fly past my nose. Gautam, the next ball that he bowls to me is a slow ball into the pads. So Sharjah pitch was something that made people like Curtly Ambrose as well become meek bowlers who were just trying to survive on those flat pitches. It was an absolute bowler's graveyard.
Yeah.
Nikhil, but I like this kind of a wicket. Honestly, I don't want a run feast. I hate getting bowlers stopped for runs, and especially the last time around when 240 were getting chased and stuff. Yes, you've got three different kind of wickets. You've got Abu Dhabi, which was absolutely flat. Dubai had something for the new ball bowlers for the seamers, and this one, which has a slow outfield, small ground, plus a wicket that is gripping something. So quality batter needs to adjust to all kind of conditions, and I always prefer having a game which is 140, 150, so that there is something for everyone. It is not important to have seam and bounce for fast bowlers in all kind of a surface. There could be a grip as well for the fast bowlers. There could be a wicket where it's probably keeping a little low. That's a challenge for a batter. And where would you not want to test yourself in all kind of conditions?
The other thing is, as Gautam is saying, Dan, that he would like there to be something or the other for everyone, whether it's a batsman, a fast bowler, or a spinner. I'm just again looking at those stats which really favor fast bowlers in this leg of the IPL as compared to the spinners. Another reason you reckon is the fact that one, the ball's not really turning, so it's not assisting the spinners either, the Sharjah track, and the other, smaller boundaries. So things that could be boundary are coinciding.
Well, I think these wickets are fun, and they're fun from a viewing perspective. They're fun to play in, and they're fun to captain in as well, because you actually get to make some moves that can differentiate the game, and it's not just a slog fest, and you've got to protect being hit for six every few balls. There's a lot of I think it's quite a dynamic style of game. You can sit there and a batting team can look on top, but if you can put pressure on with a few overs here and there, then the game can change quickly. So I think we should be excited about this style of wicket, and the 140, 150, 160 can really lead to a great game. And I think it is because the fast bowlers who have really struggled in Sharjah in previous times have been able to come to the fore, and even spinners have struggled there. I can remember a number of games where New Zealand bowlers maybe had a little bit of Sharjah-itis and injuries came on, and no one really wanted to play in Sharjah apart from the batsmen. So I think this is a fun type of wicket that everyone should enjoy playing on.
What kind of a total is RCB going to be looking at, Gautam? We saw KKR play that last game. I know before that, 130, 140 was a good enough total. The last match I remember, I think it was Rajasthan and KKR. They got 170 odd. Is this wicket also getting slightly better as we're seeing as the World T20 approaches, as we're seeing with Abu Dhabi and as we're seeing with Dubai?
I don't think so. I think if KKR got 170, Rajasthan got bundled out for 80 something. It was just the way they approached the entire inning. That is the reason why I said that guys could bat, because Shubman Gill could bat deep from one end, and probably RCB would be looking to get 150 as well. If they look to get 150, they'll manage to get 155, 160. If they still look to get 170, 180, they might just be able to get 125, 130, which might not be enough. So look to get 140, 145, you'll get much more, and that will be enough, I'm sure.
Just a couple more questions before the RCB batsmen come out. Sanjay, we spoke about the adverse impact that it can have on a bowler getting smashed for that last ball six. Can it have an opposite impact on a team as such? Virat mentioned, how it lifted the team. They were in a situation where they were not going to win. That victory really got them close. And sometimes these sort of situations really, uplift a team. And then in these crucial games, they get that winning sequence going.
The team is already uplifted. It wasn't like the team was down in the dumps and one win is going to get them to really start believing in themselves. But you're right, that win meant a lot. You saw Virat Kohli's reaction after they won, but Virat tends to react to most things in that way. But yes, that win was important. But more importantly, that just makes Bharat, a guy just out of the blue comes in and becomes this T20 flavor of the season for RCB. So I think that was the most important outcome, that he stayed there till the end and took his team over the line, which was brilliant. This is all about, crunch game, knockout match. It's about today. The past is in the past. How you play today. Captaincy is going to be crucial, because we saw in the qualifier one how Dhoni just, had the better moves than Rishabh Pant.
We started with you, Dan. I'm going to end the program with you. The last time these two teams played, that was 92 is what RCB could manage. Russell, Varun taking 3 wickets. Any sort of scars from that, or you reckon too much water has passed under the bridge since then?
No, the teams move on quickly, and particularly in the IPL with how many games they play. So there'll be no thoughts of that. It will be about the last game where RCB feeling confident, but I think confidence comes and goes pretty quickly. So it's the first 6 overs, how they start, will set the tone for RCB. So if Kohli's dominant from the start, then that'll feed its way through the rest of the team. So all those games are gone. It's now about those first 6 overs of power play for both teams.
Okay, I said last comments, but guess what? I've just seen, the batsmen really coming out, and we've seen the bowlers warming up, and I believe it's going to be Shakib Hassan who's going to be opening the bowling, if I'm not mistaken. Sanjay, what do you make of that?
Yeah, it's something that I expected. I know there's a left-hander out there, but particularly, young player, he's not had the best of IPL. Will he have the courage to take on Shakib? And Shakib is a wily customer. This is a guy who's got 15 or 16 5-wicket hauls in Test match cricket. So he's an underrated bowler. Virat Kohli will not enjoy this. Padikkal could actually relieve Virat Kohli by going after Shakib, but slightly hazardous.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Sanjay, Manjrekar, Gautam, Gambhir, Dan, Vettori, thanks so much for joining us. What an exciting game coming up. And these two teams have met each other for many times in the IPL. But guess what? They've never played against each other in the playoffs. This is the first time. Who will come out on tops? We'll have our eye on that. And we'll see you again now in the mid-innings show.
We call it people technology.